Join me today as we talk about the Oscars of last night. Who's really watching that show? Zelensky, where did he really come from? And the new strategic crypto reserve that Trump just put on his Truth Social yesterday morning that made the crypto market go crazy. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, I haven't posted in a few extra days. I apologize about that. I just fallen a little bit behind with life, I guess, but I'm back and I'll be on my regular schedule. This one's going to be coming out a little bit later on the 3rd of March, which is today, on Monday, and I'll be able to put the other ones on Wednesday and Friday, hopefully like the normal schedule at 8 in the morning. So yesterday was the Oscars. Now, I didn't know that. The only reason why I knew the Oscars were on is someone posted on X that the Oscars were on. Other than that, I had no idea. I barely watch regular television. It's always streaming TV, Netflix or Hulu or Amazon, one of these channels. I very rarely watch regular television. So I didn't know it was even on last night until somebody posted about it. And they posted that they didn't know until somebody else posted. So I got secondhand posts that the Oscars were on. Who's watching that show? That is nothing but a cesspool of a bunch of privileged actors that have no clue what the real world is like. Now, some of them probably claim they do, and there are some of them that are down to earth, and there are great regular people, I guess, that are still in touch with the common folk like we are. But for the most part, they get up there and they hoot and holler about equality and all this other garbage that nobody even cares about. The best one I ever got to see, I think that was the last one, was Ricky Gervais, when he totally roasted all of them during his monologue. And it's true to this day. And after I saw that post that the Oscars were on, I saw the post that Ricky Gervais posted about his speech that he gave. Come up there, get your award, and then F off. So that's what they should do. But they don't do it. Every year it's the same thing. And every year they lose more and more viewership. And the reason why is because they're getting big on with these DEI type of things in Hollywood. Now, in order for a film to be even remotely considered for an Academy Award, it has to meet several types of criteria. Now, in order to be eligible for Best Picture consideration, a film must meet at least 2 of the 4 diversity, equity, and inclusion standards. These standards were announced in 2020 and went into effect for the 96 Oscars in 2024. Now, the standards are these. Standard A, on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. Standard B, creativity, leadership, and projection of a team. Standard C, industry access and opportunities. Standard D, audience development, examples of meeting standards. Now, that's a little extreme, but this is the best part. Having a lead or significant support actor from the unrepresented racial or ethnic group, having at least 30% of the acting ensemble from underrepresented groups, having at least 2 positions of the creative leadership and project team from underrepresented groups, and having at least 2 apprentices or interns from unrepresented groups, having representation in development, marketing, publicity, and distribution in unrepresented racial groups, women, people from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups, LGBTQ, people with cognitive or physical disabilities, or who are deaf or hard of hearing. The Academy of Motion Pictures and Arts and Sciences announced additional rules for the 2025 Oscars, including an expansion of theatrical run requirements for Best Picture. These are all the new rules in order to be considered for Best Picture. This is crazy. Whatever happened to just putting movies out that people enjoyed? I can't remember the last time I actually went to the theater to watch a movie. I watch everything on TV now. Sometimes I get them a little earlier, if you know what I mean. But who's going to the movies to watch all this stuff? I'd rather sit in my house and watch it, because now the movies that they have now are pretty much, in my opinion, they're pretty much garbage. I can't even name any of the winners from the Oscars. I have no idea. There's some movie that won Best Picture. I can't even really pronounce it, but it's a movie that I never even heard of. Never heard of it. Best actor, Macaulay Culkin's brother, whatever his name is, the other Culkin brother that's still acting, He won Academy Award, which is cool. I did see part of his speech online, which is really great. His wife promised him he'd get a fourth kid if he won an Academy Award. He won. I thought that was a funny speech. That was the only one that I actually listened to because it was a snippet that was online. But other than that, the Oscars, man, they got to stop this. They're losing audience. They're losing fans. And people are just kind of over it. There are other Angel Studios. There's another new up-and-coming movie company that's put out a lot of great movies, real feel-good movies, not really controversial. The best people should be in movies, period. Not what groups we can represent in a nutshell into some type of movie. I'm just not a big fan of that. We never worried about this 10, 15, 20 years ago. Nobody cared. There were all kinds of movies, like the movie Star Wars had all kinds of characters in it. Black, white, Asian, all kinds of people. It was just a good movie. And there was a ton of other movies after that came out that were great movies. Jaws, Jurassic Park, all these action movies that came out in the early days. Now it's just constantly beating us over the head with all this diversity stuff. Now I get it. It's great. Okay. It makes people feel good. But at some point, you lack the quality of entertainment to force your type of agenda on the mass of people. So I think Hollywood needs to have a wake-up call and focus more on making quality and great films than worrying about if everybody's represented in a movie. Just saying. That's my observation of the day. Now for the conversation. Well, Vladimir, whatever his name is, Zelensky, came to the White House on Friday, and it was a shit show. I mean, a shit show. Now, here's the problem. Whether on the left or right, here's the issue. This deal about the minerals was a done deal. It was done. Marco Rubio said it was a done deal. Zelensky agreed to it. He was just coming over to the United States to sign it, have a little celebration, answer some questions, and move on. Now, there was no stipulation in that agreement. We weren't supposed to go and give him arms or anything like that. The reason why the mineral was such an important aspect of a deal is that now the United States has an interest to protect those minerals, right? So if we own half the mineral rights in that country, we have a vested interest to protect those minerals. So you're going to get help from the United States one way or the other because we don't want anything to happen to the minerals that we need from your country. And they have a lot of them there. So when he gets to the White House, before he goes to the Oval Office, he met with a bunch of different senators, some Democratic senators, and they were squawking in his ear. And they basically told him to not do the deal, not do it. Isn't that crazy? So when he gets to the Oval Office, he heard all this in his background, and he's like, you know what? He decides now's the time in front of all the press in the Oval Office with the president, the vice president, secretary of state, to go ahead and try to argue the deal and the terms of it. And they weren't going to have it. And J.D. Vance did exactly what a great vice president does. He stuck up for the administration, and he was on the offensive. And he said, listen, you never thanked us, not once. You come here, you make demand at the Oval Office. And then Trump gets in there and he starts ripping him a new one. And it was very disrespectful. Now, you can say whatever you want, but the Oval Office is a place where photos of, Macron was just there. And what happened with Macron? Nothing. They were there. They answered questions. They shook hands. It's a photo op. And they make deals behind the scenes, not in front of the entire world to see. Nobody does deals in public. They do it behind closed doors because sometimes things get heated. Sometimes there are disagreements. And you don't ever want to have the public see that. You want the public to see the outcome or the resolution of that particular deal. And that's the problem. So Zelensky got put in his place and he got sent packing. And a lot of people are criticizing a guy not even wearing a suit. And I agree with that. Listen, Zelensky, the whole OD green thing was really cute at the very beginning in 2022. That was great. He had a little helmet on. He was in the trenches with his soldiers. I was even impressed with that. I'm like, man, that's a leader right there. He's in the trenches, not even wearing a suit when he comes out because he just leaves the front lines and he's still wearing his uniform for being in the trenches and he goes to meet the president. I thought that was great. But 3 years later, you're still doing that. And you're not on the front lines anymore. You're not shooting any bullets after anybody. So why do you continue to wear that? Now, you can say whatever you want. I'm old school. I think the Oval Office, especially when it comes to the President of the United States, that's a respect that you should have of the office, whether it's Trump there or anybody else. Now, he used to wear suits before the the war broke out, Zelensky has been photographed in a suit. But now he goes around and meets all these world leaders in his OD green outfit. I think it's disrespectful. When you come to the United States and you work in a deal and you need them to come to you and you're meeting Trump. Well, when was the last time you didn't see Trump in a suit or his polo shirt and pants? When? That's his outfit. You never see Trump at a meeting or anywhere else without a suit on and a tie. You just don't. And Zelensky should have known that. And Trump is old school, man. You do a business deal, you wear a suit because that shows respect. Like I said, I'm old school. And Zelensky should know better. So you can criticize me for saying, oh, he shouldn't have to wear a suit. Yes, man. It is the Oval Office. Ronald Reagan used to get up at like 3 a.m. to make a phone call to some world leader, and he would put on a suit and get dressed. He'd wake up earlier in the morning to get dressed, put a suit on because he said the office deserves that type of respect. You don't go to the Oval Office with flip-flops, some workout pants and a hoodie. No, you wear the proper outfit when you go there because that office is a sacred place where we've had 47 different presidents sit in that office, and it deserves the respect. So Zelensky, start wearing a suit. You look ridiculous. And the whole thing about this guy, it's starting to be fishy to me because he's acting like somebody that is really under the pressure to not accept the deal. It's just strange. Why wouldn't you want peace for your nation? The first thing out of your mouth should be, I want peace, but he doesn't want that. He wants to continue going on with this conflict. And he feels if the United States is involved physically in the conflict, then he has the upper hand against Russia. Wrong. United States, we don't want any part of that conflict. We want zero part of it. We shouldn't have any part of it. It is a NATO issue, and he's not even part of NATO. Ukraine is not part of NATO. We're helping them out of the goodness of our hearts because Russia is like the boogeyman. Putin's the boogeyman. So we're helping Ukraine out of the goodness of our hearts. They're not even part of NATO. Not even part. So Zelensky kind of like makes me wonder about this guy a whole lot. And the reason why is this. He was nobody before 2018-19 came around. He was born in 1978. He went to college, got a law degree over there, speaks Russian because he's part of Ukraine that was in Russia, so he can speak Russian. But he never practiced law, and he decided to go into acting and comedy. I know everybody's seen the clips of him dancing around like a belly dancer and being in movies and all that, but he's an actor. He was never even in politics prior to this. Not like Ronald Reagan, that was an actor, got into politics, became the governor of California, and then became the president, and started working that route. He was nobody. And all of a sudden, the former president that was there, a billionaire, started not getting a lot of support from the nation. So they decided they had another election, and out of about 24 candidates, and Zelensky included, Zelensky wins in like a landslide. As I said, he was an actor and a comedian that wins out of about 24 candidates in a landslide. That just sounds really strange to me. Look, our United States, since the end of World War II, has been involved in about 100 different coups, regime changes. We've been personally involved in it. We go in there and we decide we don't like this leader or the next leader, and we get rid of them. That's what we do. That's what the United States does. We're not awesome, by the way. Is it a little bit to consider, like maybe he was put in there by a previous administration? I don't know. The guy was not even in politics. So it's just strange that he is so hell-bent on staying active in the conflict and not talking about peace. Because a real leader wants peace before conflict. And that's what President Trump wants. And Zelensky doesn't seem to even want that. So we got to keep an eye on this because my gut is telling me one thing about this whole situation, and my gut's usually right. I don't know. It's not any facts, not any great research that I did. It's just the way he seems and the way he acts and meeting these other Democratic senators prior to meeting the president, and then all of a sudden changing his tune, and then he leaves without signing the agreement. It's extremely strange to me. Now, the whole thing about Ukraine is that since they're not part of NATO, there was a deal with Russia, okay? Boris Yeltsin had like a handshake, apparently, in 1989. And there was an agreement that NATO wouldn't progress anymore into the east towards Russia. That was a deal. And Russia claims it was a done deal. It wasn't anything that was signed. It was basically a handshake in good faith that they wouldn't move NATO any closer into Russia. Well, NATO continued to move into the east, getting closer and closer to Russia. And when they started in talks with Ukraine to get into NATO, that's when Putin drew the hard line and he said, this is not going to continue any further. And that's why all this started happening. This is true. This is what the deal is. It would be like the United States and Russia decides to put a place in Canada and a place in our southern border down in Mexico. We wouldn't want that. We would be like, no, that's a hard no. That's the red line. That's not going to happen. But that's essentially what's happening. So this whole conflict is over NATO progressing more to the east towards Russia, and Putin wanted to put a stop to it. Putin obviously really doesn't want war. He wants to end it. Real people that have been in war don't want war because it's ugly, it's bad, and millions of people have lost their lives in this conflict. So hopefully there's going to be some type of resolution. I heard Zelensky decides, okay, I heard recently that he just said, okay, I'll give the mineral deal. We're gonna do that. And even Putin said he would give us some of his minerals because he's got 2 areas that he annexed in 2022 that he talked to some of our leaders that are 2 weeks ago. And he said, how about you want some of our mineral rights that we took from the part of Ukraine? You can have those too. I mean, these are what deals are made. And Trump, he doesn't blink. The guy's a deal maker. He is not going to blink on any of this. He's going to stand there. He's going to tell you what he wants, and he's going to move on. And you either agree to his terms or you don't. And that's how you negotiate. Most of these politicians that are in office have never worked $1 million deal, have never done $1 billion deal. They just do laws. They don't know how to really negotiate the hard line and get things done. And that's what Trump's doing. He drew a hard line. He just said today that he's going to pull out all the weapons. No more weapons, no more support or anything for Ukraine. That's what happens. You poke the bear, now the bear's awake. And Trump's like, you're not getting anything from us anymore. And the EU's like, oh, we'll give you all these weapons. We'll help you out. Nobody's going to win without the United States. You're not going to win without the United States' help and our influence. Because no matter what anybody thinks and all these other people from all these other countries that comment on all this TikTok for me, wherever you're in Ukraine or Russia, wherever you're from, you're in those small countries. You don't get it. Nobody gets anything done without the United States being there to get it done for you. That's how it works. It's worked that way since we kicked everybody's ass in World War I, World War II, and so on. Nobody was winning those wars in World War II until we decided to jump in, okay? Because we got invaded by Japan. And then, they just woke up the sleeping giant, and now they're in trouble. And look what happened. So nothing's going to get done unless Trump and the United States agree to it. And honestly, I don't want my tax dollars over there. We obviously have a mess on our hands. Doge is constantly finding more and more money, and they just are wasting our tax dollars. So how about we reel some of this in a little bit and figure out how we can help the United States? We got homeless vets. We got our inner cities are in shambles. Our roads are destroyed. It just goes on and on and on. So how about we start taking care of number one, and that's the United States, before we start funneling all these tax dollars that we support, by the way, into these other countries. Number one, right? Numero uno, United States. And we need to continue on that track because hopefully things get better. And they got to get better quick. Now, Trump announced yesterday on Sunday, the crypto strategic reserve is going to offer 3 different tokens: XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Now, those are the initial 3 that he posted on his True Social. And then he came back about an hour later and said, oh, by the way, Bitcoin and Ethereum too. I just love those 2. They're going to be fantastic. I think somebody got to him and said, hey, you forgot those 2 as well. And here's the issue. All the Bitcoin maxis, the maximalists, the guys that are involved in Bitcoin more than anybody else, that have billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor from MicroStrategies, all he talks about is Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Jack Mallers, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. They forget to see the big picture. The United States wants to deal in cryptocurrencies that are from the United States. XRP is one of them, created right here in the good old US of A. And it has utility. Bitcoin does nothing. The Bitcoin white papers that were created by Satoshi Nakamoto, whether it's a four-person group from the NSA, whether it was David Schwartz, or it's some other people that created it, or the person is no longer living or in prison somewhere. Nobody knows. So I find it hard to believe that the United States is going to get involved with a cryptocurrency that A, do not know who created it. B, the wallet that whoever Satoshi Nakamoto is has 1 million Bitcoin. That's right, 1 million Bitcoin just sitting there in a dormant wallet. Now, if that person or entity or whoever it is decides to wake up and cash that in, it will completely crash the Bitcoin market. So that's the problem right there. And the majority of Bitcoin that is mined, well, created, it comes out of China. So why would the United States, when you really look into it, get involved with that? It's extremely expensive. Nobody is sending Bitcoin to go buy a movie ticket. They're not doing it. Now, the white papers on Bitcoin was supposed to be a peer-to-peer transaction. That was the white paper. That's what it was designed for. Well, after a little while, people started realizing that Bitcoin is very expensive to send, takes a lot of energy to do that, and it's extremely slow. It's like the, I don't know, dial-up network from the internet. When the internet first came out, it was cool, fancy, nice and shiny, but it was dial-up. And at the beginning, we thought it was cool. You got online, took like 20 seconds to dial it up and get online. Sometimes you couldn't get through. Sometimes you did get online, but it was great when you were there, right? It was internet, brand new thing. Then once you started getting internet access, right? Internet Explorer came out and it was like instantaneously through a cable network, no more dial-up. You click on the E icon and you're right online, do all the searches that you want. That was amazing. And that's the difference between Bitcoin and some of these other cryptocurrencies. It's just a fact. But so what happened was all these Bitcoin maxis decided to say, you know what? It's no longer peer-to-peer. Bitcoin is digital gold. It is a store of value. So if you hold on to it, it's just going to increase in price. Sure, it started off at nothing. Now, as of this video, it's about $89,000. Went up a little bit to the mid-90s yesterday after Trump's big announcement, and then it came back down a little bit. So yeah, it's $80-something thousand. And you could have bought it for pennies in 2009. But who makes it? Who created it? Where's it mined? A lot of interesting questions arise with cryptocurrencies, and especially Bitcoin. But there's a lot of them out there that actually do something. And XRP is my favorite cryptocurrency. It is going to be used for cross-border payments for financial institutions. It is a bridge currency that's going to transfer whatever cryptocurrency you got on this side, whether a nation has a CBC or they create their own digital currency. It's going to be able to cross that over as a bridge currency and convert it to whatever currency is on the other side. And that's what people don't understand. Ripple, the financial institution that owns the native XRP token, they did not create it, but they own it. There's about 60 or 55 million right now in circulation, whether it's on exchanges, in retail pockets like mine and yours, and some banking institutions. Bank of America is using XRP for transactions. And then there's about 36 billion that are still in escrow that Ripple, the company, still owns. And they're holding for crypto regulation, the lawsuit to end, and something's going to happen big with that particular cryptocurrencies, the ones that are in escrow for Ripple. That's what's going to happen. And the one thing that people forget to talk about is the ODL, which is on-demand liquidity. Ripple, the company, has the patent on that technology. So what on-demand liquidity means is that whatever you're going to send, say you just send gold and it's now tokenized, and you transfer it, and it's got to go over here and transfer to the Japanese yen. On-demand liquidity means it'll convert it to whatever is on the other side instantaneously. So banks around the world that have Nostro Vostro accounts basically are holdings of different types of currency from different countries, like cash that's sitting there, to have to convert it whenever you come in at an exchange rate for money. They don't have to hold those anymore. So all of that liquidity all over the world is going to be completely freed up, because now you got a cryptocurrency that can exchange it to whatever's on the other side. That's amazing. That's amazing technology. And the original people that worked on the Bitcoin cryptocurrency are the ones that created XRP, because they found a lot of the flaws that Bitcoin had, i.e. slow, expensive, costly, takes a lot of energy. I think Bitcoin does 10 transactions per second. XRP does about 1,500 transactions per second. And it costs 0.00002 cents per transaction. That's amazing. Lightning speed. Within 3 to 5 seconds, you get your money. Whatever on the other side, you get it. And that's the difference in the technology. And anybody who's a Bitcoin maximalist and not telling you that and doesn't understand that, they're just doing it because they want their Bitcoin bag to go up. They want to hit $1 million. That's the only thing they care about. They keep talking smack about all these other cryptocurrencies, but yet it does nothing. Bitcoin does nothing but just holds the store value for these people that continue to want to hold it because they want to make more money on it. Period. You're not using it to buy a movie ticket. Never. XLM, you'll probably be using it to buy a movie ticket. Some of these cryptocurrencies are made in the United States, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be prioritized. And hopefully, if Trump keeps doing the things that he keeps promising, you're not going to have any capital gains tax on cryptocurrencies that are made here in the United States. That's a huge plus as well. So I believe the Ripple lawsuit's going to end probably within the next few weeks, and the XRP is going to be utilized for all the banking transactions throughout the world, and the price is going to go crazy. And if you're getting into cryptocurrencies now, $2.35 is really not that expensive if you really know where the price is going to go. And I believe I know where the price is going to go. It can't be dirt cheap. You're not going to be able to send $20 billion to another bank when XRP is $2.30. It doesn't make any sense. You'd have to use 15 billion XRP to do that. You're not going to do that. The price has to be very high so you don't use a lot of liquidity. Use a little bit of the liquidity to transfer it over. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I think the transactions and the price is going to be one day. So get involved in it, man, because it's now going to be the strategic reserve. And the president is not messing around. Once he starts looking at what the technology actually does, he's going to be even more all in than he already is. Because Eric Trump, Don Jr., they all love cryptocurrencies. They're all big on it. So start watching this closely and see what's going to happen in the next few months, because a lot of positive things are going to happen in the crypto industry, and it's just going to get better and better and better, especially once we get some regulations in there. The SEC already said meme coins, they're not securities, they are collectibles. That was a positive for the crypto industry. And now we're going to find out what's going on with these utility cryptocurrencies and how well they're going to do once they get into the strategic crypto reserve of the United States. This is it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. And please follow me on X. It's at the Eric T Podcast on X. You know, a lot of things I do on TikTok, you can't really do on X. So a lot of videos I post on there kind of get flagged on this one, but join me on X. It's a free reign marketplace over there. And also like, subscribe, and tell a friend. Thanks.